The plane touched down at JFK International Airport at 7:06 a.m., the soft thud of the tires barely masking the storm of silence that had overtaken the cabin. Most passengers remained glued to their seats, unsure if they were flying home or straight into a political scandal. No one had said much since the confrontation. The tension hadn't melted. It had simply matured like a slow, burning fuse. In row 37B, Ibrahim Traoré sat upright, calm, dignified, dangerously quiet. His eyes were closed, but he wasn't sleeping. His thoughts raced in multiple languages, evaluating, remembering, deciding. Cheryl hadn't returned to his row again. In the cockpit, the captain paced nervously, his headset buzzing every 3 minutes with cryptic messages from the tower. They'd been instructed to taxi to gate 17, but also to remain on board until a diplomatic escort arrived. A mistake in protocol, he'd been warned, could cause an international incident. And with phones filming everything, the entire world was watching. A young diplomat from the Burkina Faso mission in New York was already sprinting through Terminal 4, jacket flapping, phone pressed against his sweating ear. Yes, I understand he doesn't like protocol. No, I'm telling you he boarded alone. I just got the confirmation. Do you understand what that means? He went through customs as a civilian. At the gate, Homeland Security agents stood still, flanking the corridor like statues. No guns raised, just eyes, alert and rehearsed. Ibrahim had been added to a quiet watch list not for threat, but for potential fallout. An unscripted moment with a foreign head of state on U.S. soil could lead to diplomatic turbulence far more explosive than anything in the sky. Inside the cabin, Ibrahim finally opened his eyes and stood. Amadou turned toward him. "Mr. President, forgive the world for forgetting its manners." Ibrahim looked at him without expression. The world remembers what it wants and forgets what it chooses. He stepped into the aisle. Phones rose. Some recorded without shame, others tried to be discreet. But the moment was viral, undeniable, history in motion. Cheryl was nowhere to be seen. As he approached the front cabin, the captain stood at attention. "Your Excellency, don't," Ibrahim cut in. "My name is Ibrahim. I just want to personally apologize, sir." Ibrahim nodded. "And your apology will go farther if it includes a change in policy." "Policy? Yes," Ibrahim said. "Train your staff to treat every human being like a head of state." With that, he stepped onto the jet bridge. At the terminal entrance, a black SUV awaited with diplomatic plates. The young diplomat, barely 28, with a tie too tight and sweat staining his collar, opened the door and bowed slightly. "President Traoré, welcome to New York. I wasn't informed. You weren't meant to be," Ibrahim said, sliding in. "Drive." Inside the SUV, the diplomat fumbled. "Sir, the African Union has prepared a conference suite. They've arranged interpreters, security. Cancel it." "Sir, I don't need a platform. I already have one. But the U.S. Secretary of State has requested an urgent closed door." I said cancel it. The driver, a Haitian-born man who'd been driving consulate VIP for over a decade, glanced in the mirror. "Excuse me, Monsieur le President, but where would you like to go?" Ibrahim leaned forward. "Take me to Harlem, 125th Street, Lenox Avenue." The diplomat blinked. "Sir, surely you don't mean..." "I do, and if anyone tries to follow, leave them." Within 30 minutes, the convoy had thinned. No press, no armored police, just a single SUV and a man who had once led a military insurrection against a corrupt junta with nothing but 10 loyal men and a manifesto of fire. Harlem was awake. Vendors were setting up stalls. Jazz hummed from street speakers. The scent of coffee, incense, oil, and history layered the air like memory. Ibrahim stepped onto the sidewalk alone. People passed him without recognition, and that was how he liked it. Until someone shouted, "Yo, is that the dude from that flight, the African guy, the president one?" He turned, a teenager with purple headphones, eyes wide. "Yo, it's him. I seen the clip." Others turned too. "Hey, are you the guy that checked the flight attendant?" A few people surrounded him, phones raised. "Why'd she do you like that, man? I read online you run a whole country and she treated you like dirt." Ibrahim remained still. "She treated me the way she was trained to treat anyone who doesn't look like power." A woman near, by mid-40s, thick glasses, educator's energy, nodded. "Say that again," I said. He repeated louder. "She treated me the way she was trained to treat anyone who doesn't look like power." Someone clapped, then others. "What you said just now," the woman added, "that belongs on every school wall in America." Suddenly, the street had transformed. No longer Harlem, it was a press room, a global square, a boiling cauldron of race, power, and perception. Within 10 minutes, Ibrahim Traoré was trending globally, not because of a war or a speech, but because of a moment. Back at the airline headquarters, emergency meetings were held. Legal teams scrambled. PR reps drafted statements. The CEO of the airline, a Canadian with a background in crisis management, was on a call with the Secretary of Transportation. "If we offer an apology and a full private jet to take him wherever he wants, he doesn't want perks," said the secretary. "He wants the world to listen." Meanwhile, Cheryl, now sequestered in a holding lounge at JFK, sat shaking. Her hands wouldn't stop twitching. HR had taken her badge. A union rep sat beside her, stone-faced. "I didn't know," she kept repeating. "I didn't know." The rep spoke for the first time. "That's exactly the problem." Back in Harlem, Ibrahim sat on a bench near the Apollo Theater, sipping coffee from a paper cup handed to him by a local cafe owner who said, "For you, it's on the house." He nodded his thanks. A reporter approached. "CNN badge, young Y, died, President Traoré, one question." He looked at her, amused. "Only one." She smiled nervously. "What message do you want this incident to send?" He thought for a moment. "Then there are millions like me, quiet, overlooked, carrying greatness behind worn clothes. This wasn't about me. This was about how the world sees us. Us, Africa, the global south, the brown and the black, the migrants, the farmers, the revolutionaries in plain sight." She recorded his words, and that clip, within hours, would become a rallying cry. Elsewhere, Cheryl's story was leaking too. Past employees came forward, allegations of other instances, a pattern. The airline began legal damage control. Protesters gathered outside its Manhattan offices, and in a quiet embassy office, the diplomat who had picked up Ibrahim whispered to his superior, "Sir, he's not just reshaping diplomacy, he's weaponized humility." But it was Ibrahim's final move that shocked everyone. That evening, just before sunset, he appeared on live stream again, this time not from Harlem or any hotel, but from the rooftop of a Brooklyn shelter housing African immigrants. With him were 9 men and women, former refugees, asylum seekers, undocumented workers. He turned to the camera and said, "I stand today with those whose names don't trend, whose passports invite suspicion, not respect. To the airline, I say, your apology means nothing if it doesn't extend to these people too." He gestured to the group behind him. "Until you recognize them as worthy of dignity, not just presidents like me, you have learned nothing." And with that, he walked off camera. No press conference, no further comment. Only the echo of a message that would burn through every screen, boardroom, and government hall. By the next morning, America was not the same. Cable news channels had cleared entire schedules. The clip from the rooftop had crossed 70 million views. Newspapers from Paris to Lagos ran the same headline in different tongues with the same thunder. The president who walked among U.S. corporate boardrooms held emergency briefings. University professors analyzed his language. Church leaders quoted him from pulpits, and on morning talk shows, hosts argued over whether the airline's apology had done enough, or anything at all. But none of that concerned Ibrahim Traoré. He was no longer in New York. Untraceable for nearly 10 hours, his security detail in Burkina Faso panicked. Officials in Ouagadougou pleaded with the American embassy for information. His own vice president gave a cryptic speech calling him a man of unpredictable missions and divine clarity. In truth, Ibrahim had slipped into a borrowed coat and disappeared into Newark. He didn't need handlers. He needed eyes, and the streets had them. Inside a modest West African restaurant, Chez Fatou, in the heart of Jersey City, he sat at a table with 3 men who did not call him president. They called him Ibro, the name he had used in university before power changed everything. One of them, Kojo, a Ghanaian ex-dissident, leaned in. "You shook the hive, Ibro. Now the bees will come." "I didn't come here to fight bees," Ibrahim replied. "I came to burn the hive." They sat in silence. The buzz of the restaurant filled in the space, the clatter of dishes, the low hum of a Wolof song on the speaker, the arguments over Senegalese football. Another friend, Bakari, added, "You realize they'll try to corner you now. UN dignitaries, US politicians, those influencers you hate." "I don't care for seats at their tables." Kojo leaned back, then grinned. "Then what do you want, Ibro?" Ibrahim looked around. "I want to remind the world that kings are crowned on the streets too." Meanwhile, back at JFK, Cheryl sat in a sterile conference room, staring at her termination papers. The airline's leadership had made their move. They offered her a quiet severance. With a tightly worded NDA, she refused to sign. "I won't be your scapegoat," she said. "You were the one on camera." The HR rep said, arms folded. "And you were the ones who trained me to profile," she snapped. "You think you can bury that with a press release?" She stood and walked out. The cameras caught her, of course. The world knew her face now too. And while some raged against her, others began to dig deeper. Interviews with former co-workers, a recorded complaint from a Jamaican flight attendant who'd left in 2022. This wasn't about Cheryl anymore. This was about a system. That same afternoon, the mayor of New York issued a formal invitation to Ibrahim for an honorary recognition at City Hall. The governor of New Jersey extended a similar offer. The Secretary of State, now under media siege, pleaded for a 10-minute phone call through 6 different intermediaries. Ibrahim responded to none. Instead, he appeared unexpectedly again, this time at Columbia University's Pan-African Studies Department, walking into a class mid-lecture. The stunned professor stuttered, "Forgive me, this class is not open to visitors." Ibrahim walked to the front of the room and asked, "Who here can name the 5 deadliest airlines for black travelers?" Silence. "Who here can explain why Africa has the lowest percentage of direct intercontinental flights, but is the highest in ticket prices per mile?" More silence. "Then what are you studying?" he asked gently. The class murmured. One student raised her hand cautiously. "We're studying African identity and globalization." Ibrahim smiled. "Then start by studying how invisible power can be, until you force the world to look." He stayed for 2 hours. Spoke with no notes. Quoted Ape, Sankara, Baldwin, laughed with students, took no pictures, left through the side exit with nothing but applause behind him. That night, Kojo received a call, an encrypted line. It was from the Organization of African States, not just a call, a request. "Tell him," the voice said, "he has the continent watching, but some of us are nervous. He's not following the script." Kojo replied coolly, "He's not reading from one either." Elsewhere in Washington, D.C., a committee met behind closed doors. A document slid across a desk. Ibrahim Traoré threat assessment. It wasn't about terrorism, it was about influence. He doesn't need troops. One official said, "He's got truth and viral algorithms," another muttered. A third official leaned forward. "He's not dangerous because of what he did. He's dangerous because millions want to be like him now." Back in Brooklyn, Ibrahim stood on a rooftop again. This time not in front of cameras, just alone, watching the skyline. Amadou joined him. "They're coming." Amadou said, "CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, they all want interviews." "No." Ibrahim said, "I'll give only one interview." "To who?" "To no one." Amadou blinked. "I'll speak once more, but not in a studio, not with edits, not in a room full of microphones." "Then how?" Ibrahim turned. "I'll speak where I began, on that same plane, same seat, same row. But that flight's over, then we'll book it again." "What do you mean?" "I want that same flight route, same airline, same gate, same hour." Amadou paused. "You want a replay?" "No, I want a mirror." It took 3 days. Negotiations were tense. Lawyers panicked. But eventually, either from guilt or branding desperation, the airline agreed. And so, with the world watching, Flight 779 from Ouagadougou to New York was rebooked. Same row, same crew, same Cheryl. Yes, Cheryl came back. She demanded it. "If I'm going to heal, I have to face it," she said. The airline agreed under strict conditions, and so the stage was set. The plane boarded slowly. Ibrahim took his seat in 37B again, alone. Cheryl walked the aisle, trembling slightly, then stopped beside him. "Would you like a drink, sir?" she asked. Ibrahim looked up. "I would like a conversation."